The husband left for like a weekend. He had a business trip, left for a weekend, and she dropped 20 pounds over the weekend. And then husband comes back, she gains the weight again. And she's like, what the heck is going on? Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Jacque Show. So this topic I'm really excited to go over with y'all today because it's a topic that I actually hate to talk about, but I'm doing it because I'm seeing so many articles and reels and TikToks and advertisements and sponsored ads that are all having a tendency to mislead people in the realm of weight loss. So what we're going to talk about today is the top 5 reasons why you're not losing weight. All right. So before we get started, again, I have had a lot of people reach out, whether it's just health coaches, chiropractors, who are looking to learn what I am doing and how I am getting the results that we are in our office, which is amazing. Plus, on top of that, how I have the time to be able to work till 1 o'clock Arizona time, Mountain Standard, I guess that's what it is now, and then be able to spend the rest of the time with my family. If you are somebody in that realm that's interested in learning how I've cultivated this lifestyle, then we are in the process of finalizing. This weekend, I'm spending a lot of time with it. We're in the process of finalizing our coaching program to be able to teach you what tests we run, what supplements we use, the protocols, the procedures, everything you need to know to be able to help me to help more people, because I can only do so much. All right. So let's dive into it. So again, thank you all for tuning in today. If you're looking and you're like, hey, I set my New Year's resolution, and my New Year's resolution is I want to lose weight. And maybe you started off the new year and you started switching up your diet, and you may have heard some other things that I've said in the past. You cut out dairy, gluten, corn, soy, all of those known inflammatory foods. And so you drop like 5 pounds. You're like, whoa, it's a lot easier than what I anticipated. But what's really important, all right, is when we think about weight gain, okay, or we think about the inability to lose weight, we also have to have the understanding that we are not designed to keep excess weight on our bodies. Unless we're in freezing cold areas, Antarctica, Alaska, we tend to have a little bit more size on us. And even the northern states throughout the winter time, you can actually have, it's an epigenetic trait where you can have issues with your hemoglobin A1C, and it actually causes you to store a little bit excess fat on you to keep you warmer in the colder months. So barring that, say we're in the middle of the summer and you're like, how do I lose weight? I can't lose weight. What's going on? All this is saying is that there is a symptom of dysfunction in the body. There is a certain stimuli or stimulus in your body that is causing you to hold on to that weight. Just like a stimuli would be if you're in freezing cold temperatures, getting hit in the north woods of Minnesota, freezing your butt off, or if you're in Pittsburgh, Maine, wherever you are and you're freezing, that's a stimulus to the body. Your body has to learn how to respond to that. And what does it do? It tries to have us eat more calories and hold more on us. Just like in the summertime, where it's hot, we sweat. Sweat is designed to get hit by the wind and cool us down. It's a normal physiological process. So past that, what could be causing us? What are the top 5 reasons why people can't lose weight? Okay, number 1, you're either under eating or overeating. Now, this one drives people crazy, right? They're like, well, how many calories should I have? How many calories should I eat? I'm like, what the hell are you counting calories for? That's not what you should be focusing on. You should be focusing on the consistency of what's in those calories. That's another reason why I hate the If It Fits Your Macros programs, is because most people abuse that. They'll eat 37 donuts to hit their calorie mark, right? Versus like, hey, I had some lean protein, I had some healthy fat, and then that fit into my macro count or my overall calorie count. When we are in a starvation mode, okay? So what's starvation mode? So our body, our body throughout the day, without getting too nerdy, burns a certain amount of calories. Okay, I've got tracking devices to figure out like what mine is. I have to hit like at least 2,000 calories a day to just maintain the physique that I have. If I don't, I am in a caloric deficit, which means my body uses more calories than what I took in. Therefore, deficit, typically, when your body works well, it starts to decrease my body weight. I'll lose a little bit of muscle mass, not muscle mass, but I'll lose kind of my puffiness, and my muscles might look a little bit more flat just from the caloric restriction, right? If I theoretically want to gain weight, then what do I need to do? I need to eat more than 2,000 calories a day to be able to put size on, to be able to put weight on, right? That's like the old school way of thinking. And for some people, absolutely, that can work, right? When you're eating a surplus and your body is physiologically responsive and it does what it's supposed to, yeah, you're probably going to gain weight. And if you starve yourself, you're probably going to lose a little bit of weight, at least for the time being. Now, what gets tricky is on both ends of these spectrums. If you eat too much, right, you're eating too many carbs, you're eating too many bad calories, like the toxic calories, then our body's going to have to store that somehow. Our body's going to be inflamed. With inflammation, we've got toxins, we've got water weight, and so we'll bloat, right? A prime example of this, if I eat my favorite pizza, which is a buffalo chicken pizza, if I eat that on, say, a Friday night, Saturday and Sunday, I'm up about 10 pounds in body weight. And people are like, oh my God, you gained 10 pounds overnight? Well, no, I gained 10 pounds in inflammation. So a culprit for why some people may not be able to lose weight is the inflammatory food. Now, these are where the fad diets come into play. If you're a couch potato used to eating potatoes out of the couch or McDonald's or fast food, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to go keto. I'm going to go paleo. I'm going to go vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, ketotarian. Whatever that diet is that you choose, automatically, every single one of them, you're going to lose a little bit of weight. Why? Because you're reducing, as long as it's good quality stuff, but you're reducing the amount of inflammatory calories that you're taking in, comparatively speaking to what your typical diet was. Can it work for short term? Sure. Over long periods of time, if we're not on the proper diet and that we're not taking the nutrients from, sorry guys, but if we're not taking nutrients in from animal meats, or we're not getting enough phytonutrients in from our plants, and we're not having that healthy balanced diet, fruits, veggies, healthy fats, proteins, our body is then going to be like, well, what do I do now? And so a lot of people will go on these crash diets, especially this time of year, and they'll lose 10, maybe 15 pounds. Guys lose weight like it's nothing, right? All we have to do is cut sugar and we drop weight. Our bodies then start to adapt, okay? So calories in, right? So my main focus for a lot of my patients, and for my health too, my main calorie groups are going to be fats and proteins. Now, I am not keto. I am not that. Okay. I'll go through stints where I'll do like a little keto stint for like a week or something like that, just to kind of reset my body, shock my body, or just get a heck of a lot more like healthy fats and healthy proteins in my diet. Kind of more like carnivore-ish, basically. But when we're on these diets for long periods of time, our body tries to adapt. And if we starve ourselves from key nutrients, okay, because food is medicine, we need the chemistry from the food, we need to bring it in, and those help with different activities. It could be coenzyme or reactionary pathway, where one thing you need this to break it down into this, and there's rate limiting steps. There's all this stuff that goes into this. And if we're starving ourselves from these nutrients, then our body is then going to be seen to be in more of a stressed state. When we're in a stressed state, we talked about adrenals on previous podcasts. What happens when we're stressed? Okay, our body goes into fight or flight. And most often, people don't think about what they're eating. They're stressed. They're going to crave sugars. They crave carbs. They crave the comfort foods. And so you're going to slide there. You're going to eat that. And then you're going to be like, oh no, I gained weight. Well, yeah. Reduce the stress, right? That's the stimulus. That's the cause. Reduce the stress. Balance your blood sugar back out again. Eat proper meals again. And then your weight falls off, right? You remove the stimulus that made your body gain the weight to begin with, or what made you to crave those sweets to begin with, all right? But when we're talking about over and under eating, we know that if you're eating, come on, if you're eating 10,000 calories a day of any food, just garbage food or whatever, you're typically going to gain some weight, right? But if you undereat, especially women, all right, women are already stressed 99.9% of the time. Usually because of us. We tend to stress our women out, people around us. We tend to be knuckleheads a lot of the times. And then that stress on top of over exercising, right? If a woman's like, hey, I want to lose weight, what do? They start exercising their faces off. They start starving themselves, see how few calories they can get by eating in a given day. Just like switching to fad diets, you may lose a couple pounds in the beginning, but what will happen is you'll deprive things like your thyroid of proper nutrients. And when you don't have proper nutrients and you increase the stress, because starvation is a stress to the body, your thyroid starts to slow down and go hypo. When that happens, okay, people, when we associate or we think about hypothyroid, we automatically think of people who are heavier in stature. They have excess body weight on them. Why? Because their thyroid is sluggish. So these women who are competitors, who do bikini, figure, bodybuilding, whatever, if you cut carbs for too long, you start to damage your thyroid. It's just the fact, it's the nature of the beast. You can't starve yourself from key nutrients for long periods of time. And I've talked about this on a previous podcast. Our brain also runs off of glucose. It's easier for our brain. Our brain consumes the majority of it. And so if we deprive it, sometimes we don't have that mental clarity that we wish that we might. Now, again, we're not talking about eating 15 pounds of pasta or bread. I'm talking about good starchy vegetables, sweet potatoes, the low glycemic index stuff that's not going to throw your blood sugar into, chaos, right? More like the paleo diet, which is what I eat, a good balance of everything. So if we're in that restricted state, we're in a calorie deficit, we're overworking out, which is more stress. We're stressed about the scale not moving every time we step on it. We're not worrying about anything else. We're not worrying about our bowel movements. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm eating 500 calories a day and I lost 10 pounds. And at the end of like a 30-day, 500 calorie diet, I think it was known as like the HCG diet, the BS diet, people would rebound hardcore. And they're like, what the hell? I lost 10 pounds, I gained 40. What the hell? Well, that backfired. Well, of course it did. You scared the shit out of your body, and your body's smart. It's smarter than you give it credit for. The majority of us. The majority of us give it credit for. And so when we starve our bodies go into that primitive response. It's afraid for when you're going to starve it again, so it's going to hold on to more fat. Because that way, if you do go through starvation, just like when we were, our ancestors were chasing animals around or whatever you want to think, we needed extra calories to burn for energy. So we were able to have a little bit of excess fat on us so that way we can go for a hunt for days and not starve. We had calories internally that we could actually release and burn. All right. It's primitive. It's ingrained in our DNA that's what happens. So when you starve yourself for too long, yes, physiologically, you're going to damage your thyroid, but you're also going to cause your body to go into a stress state, go primitive, and hold that body weight on, which tends to make it a lot more difficult to drop the weight off. Which is where you could try a diet that your friend down the street tried and you don't drop anything. Or the more fad diets that you've done, the more fad diets that you've tried, okay, the less likely it is for you to be able to keep and maintain that weight off, because it's a lot more difficult because our bodies hit that new set point body weight, okay? And that just accepts it as the quote unquote normal. So I want you to know, without going, again, too heavy into the under or overeating, right? When we overeat, we have an obvious, chance to gain weight, right? When we undereat, we have that same chance to gain weight, even with fewer calories. Okay, so next time you go to diet, quote unquote diet, and you're thinking about calorie restriction, stop with that. Monitor the quality of the calories that you're taking in, but make sure you're feeding your body what it needs so that way it can get it through the day. Remember, there's always a cause as to why your body's keeping this weight on, okay? Brings me to point 2. Number 2 reason why you're gaining weight is another polar opposite, right? So number 2 reason why you're gaining weight is either you're underactive, you're sedentary couch potato, or you're overactive. People are like, what are you talking about? Overactive? I exercise all the time. Yeah, and you're going to damage your hormones. You are. Exercise is stress. It's stress to the body. And if we do that for too long of an extended period of time and we don't rest, we don't recover, where people are like, I work out 78 days a week. And you're like, wait, there's only 7 days in a week. You're like, yeah, I go 15 times a day. So that way I can make sure I hit my goals, right? It's not good. It's not good. Our body will be catabolic. It won't be able to be anabolic. It won't be able to recover. and you're just going to tear yourself up and you're going to lead to injury. That's why a lot of CrossFitters have a lot of injuries, is because they never give their body, a lot of them, some do, but a lot of them don't give their bodies a chance to recover. They see all these people crushing it at the CrossFit games. They're like, I want to be just like so-and-so. But just like, professional athletes, there are performance enhancers that tamper their way into it, which give you an unrealistic expectation of what the human body is capable of doing before breaking down. So if you're underactive and you're not moving at all, we know there's a ton of health conditions that are going to go with that. You're going to become overweight. You're going to become obese. You can have bed sores from lack of movement, heart issues from poor blood circulation. So that's an obvious reason why you're not losing weight, but that's an obvious one. On the other side, right? Why are you gaining weight? Think about this, right? This one is one that I've talked about with my wife, with Megan. I'm like, this one always, like, before I understood this concept, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, right? Think about marathon runners, all right? Marathon runners either look one of two ways. Either they are, well, there's a third, you can look average, but the majority of them, right? And I'm not making fun of marathon runners. It's something I could never do. I respect the crap out of you, but it would be nothing that I would, if I had a patient who was like, I'm an excessive marathon runner, I want to be healthy. I'm like, well, that's, you can't be. You can't be both, in my opinion, because you're breaking your body down. You have to recover so damn hard from something like that. It's so abusive on your body that you're, in my opinion, you're taking years off the end of your lifespan. This is my opinion here. You can disagree, that's fine, but I would never tell my patients to do that, okay? So the two typical body types, right, are the people who look like if a gust of wind, like what's happening this morning in Arizona, 16 mile an hour winds came swooping by, they would just be, boo, they'd fly away. Teeny tiny, itty bitty people, right? Itty bitty breathing space. So you have the teeny tiny people, or this is the one that will typically blow people's minds. You'll have the overweight people running marathons. And you're like, what? How can somebody who's overweight run a marathon? Or how can somebody running a marathon be overweight? You have to train for it. You have to, you're burning all of those calories. How is it possible that somebody's carrying around 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 pounds, maybe more, of excess body weight, of fat, while they still train for a marathon? And this was something Megan and I were like, what in the world? It's that overtraining piece, right? We were told, at least back in our day, we were told that when you would overexercise, or you were a girl and you would have, you played like 4 sports and you were like just nonstop active, you'd go through a phase of what was known as amenorrhea, which is the absence of your menses. You just wouldn't have your menstrual cycle, right? That's just what we were told. Never told why or what the cause was. We were just like, well, you're just not going to have it because you're overactive. If a woman overtrains like that for an extended period of time and you're skipping your cycle, what that's doing is crushing your progesterone, okay? And then if you have relatively normal, even just perfectly normal estrogen, you drop down your progesterone to estrogen ratio, usually it's progesterone to estradiol or E2. You increase that ratio, you just successfully trained yourself into estrogen dominance, okay? That's not good. And if you continue it, that can actually trigger things like PCOS due to the inflammation that's caused from those types of activities. It can cause blood sugar dysregulation as well, just because of the constant stress of cortisol release causing insulin resistance in your body. So under and overtraining can do these things to your body. We use marathon runners as an extreme. But again, we think about competitors. Competitors, female competitors in particular, only have a certain lifespan in competitions, right? And when we're talking about competitors, I mean like bodybuilding, figure, bikini. We'll go more figure and bodybuilding. Bikini, a little less of the overactivity that goes into it, but they also tend to cheat a little bit more on the diet. I can say that because my wife did that. So I understand I understand what goes into the bikini dieting. And I also used to program those diets. So you have a higher likelihood of overtraining and causing damage to the body the higher you get in competition. Bikini, you have the most amount of body fat per, your body in competition status. Above that is, I believe, figure. All right. So figure is the next leanest that you would get. Then you have physique, which is like itty bitty thin. Then you have bodybuilding, and it's like you can barely pinch the fat off of the abdomen, right? And I might be getting figure and physique mixed up. I'm fairly confident it goes figure first and physique, but you know what I'm talking about here. Each level that you go up, you have less and less body fat. For a woman, that becomes more and more damaging to the body. You need that body fat for, again, proper body function, proper hormonal release, proper menses, so that way you're having your normal cycle every single month at the same time, even though it might not be convenient for you if you're stepping into a show, because nobody wants to be on their cycle while they're stepping on stage or having their menstrual cycle while on stage. That just wouldn't be desirable, right? So underactive and overactive. Assess your level of activity. And an easy thing that you can do to see if your body's recovering well enough or not is when you exercise, how long does it take your body to release and get rid of the lactic acid that you built up from the previous workout? So say, for example, I did chest yesterday. My chest is a little bit sore today, but nothing excruciating, which means, and this was the first time I worked out since we moved into this house, it's been about 2 weeks. Of course, I'm going to be a little bit more sore. Now, if this soreness lasts for an entire week, then my body's having a very difficult time switching from being catabolic to anabolic. All right. That could be from chronic stress. That could be from low testosterone, men and women. That could be a whole host of different things, or just the adrenals are just shot and my body can't recover properly. So assess your tolerance. If you have the typical delayed onset muscle soreness lasts anywhere from 24 to 48 hours, which means if you worked out Monday, you can be sore Tuesday or Wednesday, okay? If that's your window of soreness, you're good. That's okay, okay? If it extends a week or every single time you train something, you're like, oh man, it just takes me forever, or you're completely exhausted after your workout. And I'm not like you're not just laying on the mat, be just exhausted from the workout. I mean, after you come home, you shower and you try to go about your day, if your level of energy just crashes, you're overtraining, you're overdoing it. Take some time to rest, and don't be afraid to rest, because again, if your goal is to lose weight and trim up, sometimes exercising less can actually help you, okay? Exercising less can actually help you to drop that weight off. And a lot of women, and even their husbands, I'll do calls with them, and their husbands will be like, she just needs to exercise more. I just think she needs to work out. She just needs to cut her calories, and I think that'll work. And I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but I'm just saying, I've heard these things before. And I'm like, well, her adrenals are shot. She's in a phase 3 of exhaustion. Her cortisol is non-existent. Her body's just catabolic. We need to refeed. We need to increase the protein intake. We need to calm down the stress. We need to eliminate the stress from you saying that she needs to lose weight. Like, there's so many variables that go into this, right? So number one, reason why you're not losing weight, under or overeating. Number two, under or over exercising, causing too much stress on the body. Number three is one that a lot of people think I'm freaking crazy about. And I should have did this as number one or maybe number 5. I was like, ooh, the surprise. Your gut's terrible. Why can't I lose weight? Your gut is awful. Why can't I lose weight? Your gut sucks. Like, it's not good. It's not working. And what does that look like? Well, are you pooping 2 to 4 times a day? Are you pooping per meal, basically? All right, if you're eating 3 meals a day, shoot for 3 bowel movements a day. Are you doing that? No. What does your Bristol stool test look like? Okay, there's different levels, different numbers, numerical values that are associated to what your stool looks like. All right, I think you can even Google it. Mayo Clinic, I believe, has the Bristol stool chart on there. Look what your stool looks like. Is it pebbly and constipated? Are you going once every 3 days, once a week? What's happening? Why? Well, you're not going to lose weight if you don't have regular bowels. Whether it's too fast usually means there's some sort of infection, some sort of inflammatory process, irritable bowel syndrome, irritable bowel disease. You can have autoimmunity in the gut, colitis, Crohn's disease. Those types of things can typically cause you to have more watery, more diarrhea type stool, which is the higher end numbers in the Bristol stool chart. Constipated could be a bunch of things. It could be lack of magnesium, right? We're stressed out. We need magnesium. We burn through magnesium very quickly when we're stressed. Could be lack of water, especially through the wintertime. People tend to forget about their water intake because they're like, well, it's not hot. I'm not sweating, so I don't need as much water. Couldn't be further from the truth. You still need water. Our bodies are made out of water, right? What else? So when we have these types of things that go into this, okay, with your gut health being off on the low end of things, what else can cause that? What I've seen in clinical presentation is candida or yeast has a tendency to overgrow and cause constipation. So do you have recurring yeast infections, recurring urinary tract infections that just keep coming and going? You're like, I don't know what's happening here. Your gut is off. You will not lose weight. There is an association between candida overgrowth and estrogen as well. When you have one, it's like they feed each other. It's like this vicious hamster wheel cycle. Excess candida, excess estrogen. Excess estrogen, excess candida. Say that 10 times fast. It's like impossible. But so it could be that sort of infection. And so you want to be in that healthy, happy medium where you're having some nice, smooth, healthy, nice bowel movements. And when you have a bowel movement, you're like, yeah, that was good. At least that's what I do. I'm weird. But that's what I mean, seriously. That's what it should look like. That's what it should feel like. Your bowels should move flawlessly. Okay? And again, I'll tell you this too. If you're in a state where you have more diarrhea, right? Another thing that can cause diarrhea, especially first thing in the morning, a lot of you coffee drinkers, first thing in the morning, you'll drink coffee or too many cups of coffee, increase your caffeine intake. The more caffeine you take, the more it's going to liquefy your bowels and push them right through. That could be another reason. Or just the fact that you're not drinking organic coffee and you're drinking a cup of pesticide, which just inflames your bowels and rips it out, okay? The other thing too with the bowels, if we are constipated, we have certain bacteria in our gut that can cause something called beta-glucuronidase to go high. Beta-glucuronidase is a cancer marker for estrogen receptor positive cancers, colon cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, etc. Right? Anywhere that estrogen can cause things to grow. Calcium D-glucarate recirculates estrogen into the bloodstream that causes you to, again, have more of an estrogen dominant presentation, more estrogen, more weight, both men and women on this one, okay? So again, the bowels are important. Another thing, if the bowels are inflamed, inflammation raises cortisol. We talked about the thyroid, all right? T4 to T3, all right? Inactive thyroid hormone to active thyroid hormone. That conversion happens, most of it happens peripherally. It happens down in the gut with different cells that are down in the intestinal tract lining. If your gut is inflamed, these cells don't work properly. Therefore, you cannot convert T4 to T3, which is also hilarious. Not really, but it's hilarious when people get put on a medication that's just synthetic T4. It's like, well, shit, we can't convert. My body can't convert T4. You're just causing me to raise a shitload of T4. Signals going back to the brain, lowering down the TSH, and your endocrinologist is like, good job, your thyroid's functioning well. No, it's not. It sucks. No. Okay? So fix the gut, and that's one of the most common things where people will start to drop weight. All right? There's actually an infection in particular. I want to dive more into it. There's a doc that I work with that I really want to pick his brain because he was even talking about H. pylori before I even knew what H. pylori was. And I am seeing that when we do H. pylori protocols, boom, the weight just drops off. I had a consult earlier this week where a girl was like, I lost like 12 pounds in a week and a half after starting this protocol. Like we didn't do anything but go after that infection. Okay? Happens in the stomach. Helicobacter pylori, H. pylori, stays in the stomach and you have some in the mouth as well. Every single person, man, woman, and child that I've treated with H. pylori, they automatically lean up. They get more energy. More energy is like you're able to actually use the calories that you're putting in. Remember, calories are energy for the body. If you're eating 5,000 calories, but you're still tired, you're not typically doing anything with those calories except storing them onto your body as fat, right? So we want to make sure we're an efficient fat burner, fuel burner in our bodies. So that way when we eat something, our body can break it down. We have fully digested food. Drops into our small, large intestines, gets absorbed into those guys, and we get nutrients into our body, right? We work with kids who have malabsorption issues where doctors are like, I have no idea what's happening right now. Your kid's not absorbing food properly. You're eating a blueberry. They're pooping a blueberry out whole. And they're like, I don't know what's happening. What's happening is either the stomach acid is low due to H. pylori or stress or something else on the body, and it's causing you to have an inability to break down foods. Now, where this also plays over besides the malabsorption issue is we have issues with absorbing iron. So we can go anemic due to that infection, which can also damage everything in the body. We need iron for pretty much it's in every one of our red blood cells. We need that, okay? Now, when we have stomach issues, right? We'll bloat after we eat, we'll crave certain foods, and maybe we can even have people who have incredibly low appetites, but they're still gaining weight. You're like, what the hell is going on? The coolest thing about eliminating infections like this is when we do this, they tend to have an increase in appetite, and you're feeding yourself good calories, eating more calories than you've ever eaten before in your life, and you're dropping weight faster than you ever have in your life. Remember, when there's an issue with weight loss, what is the reason why? What is the stimulus that's making your body hold on to the weight? Okay? Is it an infection? Is it a parasite that doesn't want you to really be able to survive, but it wants you to just live a little bit so it can pick food off of you, and you're just, again, malabsorbing nutrients, so you can't break down fat properly, you can't process carbs, you can't absorb sugar? What is it that is happening that is causing you not to be able to lose weight? So if somebody is out there and they're trying to, one of the people I work with, Brooke, she posted something, somebody posted a reel and was like, this is the equation that you need to lose 5 pounds in a month, or blah, 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 blah. Like, I could have you drink, 4 tablespoons of magnesium, you'll poop your brains out and you'll lose 5 pounds overnight. Like, that's not what it's about. Why is it that person is not able to lose weight? There is no simple equation as to why somebody can't lose weight, unless it's just, hey, I'm overeating, I need to cut my calories down. But rarely is that the only thing that happens, because prolonged exposure to a toxic lifestyle creates a toxic person. It makes our body struggle to survive. All right, it's constantly under stress, it's constantly inflamed. We will never lose that weight. When we're here and we're like, well, I want to lose weight, that's my main goal, whatever it is. First thing I say is, listen, my goal for anybody is to not worry about losing weight. I don't care. I don't give a shit about you losing weight. My goal is to get your body to function properly. And a side effect of proper function is weight loss, right? Because there's always a reason why you're holding on to that weight. Figure out those reasons, and it's a lot easier to drop it. All right, number 4. Fourth reason why you can't lose weight, your hormones. This is an easy one. We talked about it throughout these other ones. Are you developing insulin resistance due to either, we'll talk about the next one, lack of sleep? Are you eating too much sugar and then your body's just becoming desensitized to insulin, so you require more to handle the sugar that you're taking in? Are you starving yourself, which can sometimes lead to insulin resistance where you're not eating consistently throughout your life? That could be happening. There's so many different things that can throw off the insulin resistance. We talked about estrogen dominance. Are we too stressed out? Are we losing our progesterone leading to estrogen dominance? Or are we eating a lot of sugar and we drinking a lot of alcohol? And that's causing our testosterone to convert into estrogen. Through doing that, we will gain weight, right? Just a hyper conversion of testosterone to estrogen. So when someone's like, hey, I'm estrogen dominant, I'm like, but why? Why? Or my doctor told me all I had to do was take DIM. Well, stop eating shit and you'll stop wasting your testosterone and throwing it down in estrogen. Or people are like, I don't have a sex drive, but I have a ton of estrogen. What do you eat? Sugar, alcohol, blah, blah. Stop it. You're converting too much of your testosterone to your estrogen. You're doing it to yourself. I don't care what you take, if it's a medication or if it's a pill, a supplement. If you don't fix the cause, you'll be on it for the rest of your life. It's just a Band-Aid for what you need in that moment, but it's never going to fix the cause, because as soon as you stop taking the DIM, or as soon as you stop taking whatever other medication, aromatase inhibitor that you're taking, right? As soon as you stop that, you're going to gain weight again, because you never changed the lifestyle that made you over-convert to begin with. Okay? Supply, demand. I'm supplying myself with too much shit, so now I'm demanding this to help me to process the stuff that I'm taking. It is a supplement. It is a medication. It is supplementing your lifestyle. Stop that damn lifestyle. You won't need those supplements anymore. Right? This is very important. Very, very, very important. Anybody that works with me, I don't want you to be on supplements for the rest of your life. I think it's stupid. Now, a good multivitamin, maybe like a fish oil and some probiotics, okay, that's a little bit different. But I shouldn't have to be treating you for different issues, different disease states for the rest of your life. Okay? It just shouldn't happen that way. So that's where we run into issues, right? Because then if we're over-converting, we can have issues with endometriosis, where we have issues with our blood sugar, we have excess estrogen, causes excess tissue growth throughout the body, or we can have improper liver function because our liver's too toxic due to our toxic lifestyle, too much alcohol. You could have a decrease in B vitamins, which if you're an alcoholic, you tend to burn through your B vitamins a lot quicker. I think my goal is, now that I'm thinking about this, is to completely overwhelm you on the topic of weight loss. I think that's my goal, because I want you to understand that, one, sometimes it's easy. Sometimes, maybe 1% of the time, is it easy. But I think what's more important is if you're sitting here and you're like, I have tried everything, and I can't lose a freaking ounce of body weight, of body fat. What do I need to do? I want you to know that you're not alone, because most people don't talk about this stuff. These dietitians, nutritionists, these people with these degrees, they think that they know what they're doing. They don't freaking know. If no one's talking about how much fiber you're taking, right? Fiber helps with absorption of estrogen and helps with proper bowel function. If somebody's not talking about making sure your gut microbiome is peachy, or not talking to you about your stress, and they're like, hey, I'll help you with your weight loss, that's short-term stuff. They may help you in the short term. In that interim, when you pay them a lump sum of money to get you to lose weight, and all of a sudden, boom, you gain it all back. I want you to know that you're not alone. And these top 5 things are things that you can test and things that you can implement into your daily lifestyle so that you can eventually hit that goal of losing body weight. But you have to do it properly. That way, when you lose the body weight, your body still maintains that healthy weight that you've achieved. Okay? I have people that are like pre-baby weight. I have people going down and they're in like high school body weight for like women. They're like, I feel great. I'm looking amazing. My husband's like, how are you doing that? Well, because we reduced the inflammatory lifestyle. We changed the gut. We worked on those things. Okay? So for me, it's really easy. If somebody wants to lose weight, it's typically really easy for me to help with that. But it's not something that I focus on 100%. Okay? It's not. So there's usually going to be a problem with the neuroendocrine, so the hormones, something wrong with the digestion, or something wrong with the detoxification pathways. And detoxification pathways are usually going to be impacted by the first 2. All right? So hormones being imbalanced, too much cortisol, insulin resistance, too much estrogen. We can have too much DHT causing PCOS. You name it, we can have issues with the hormones. Hormones can cause that. Now, some people are like, well, what if I get put on birth control? That's going to be a whole different topic. I'm going to destroy birth control. I despise birth control. To me, I'm a tin hatter over here. I'm like, listen, birth control is designed to make this entire freaking world sterile, because they want to depopulate us so they can reduce the carbon footprint. Even though if they just did regenerative agriculture for our farming services, we would be able to reduce our carbon footprint astronomically. They don't give a shit about that. They want to depopulate us. Whether you like it or not, I'm just going to say it. Forces it be. Look up Bill Gates' TED Talk. You'll see what I'm talking about. They'll talk about depopulation to reduce carbon footprint. Pretty freaking scary, but it's not a tin hatter when the facts are right in front of you. You just have to see it and consume it, right? So anyways, I digress yet again. So we talked about the hormones, right? So let's go into not sleeping properly. This I'm going to kind of wrap into a couple things because it's just sexier to say the top 5 things instead of like the top 5.5 things that can help you to lose weight or why you can't lose weight. Lack of sleep. Lack of sleep. We talked about all those other things, but lack of sleep is vitally important. Okay, I did a continuing education seminar, and this doctor was talking about working with this wife, and she's like, I can't lose weight. I can't lose it. 20 pounds. She's like, I gained 20 pounds in weight since we've been married. And I don't know where it came from. I don't know what to do about it. I'm just overweight. I'm just so overweight. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Right? So what happens, okay? What happens is this doc found out coincidentally that the husband left for like a weekend. He had a business trip, left for a weekend. And it was the first time he had gone away on a business trip. And I think since they've been married. And she dropped 20 pounds over the weekend. And then husband comes back. She gains the weight again. And she's like, what the heck is going on? What was happening is he's an aggressive snorer. He snored all the time. His snoring kept her awake, or at least in a superficial realm of sleep, where she wasn't recovering while she was sleeping. She was just laying awake in bed or just like slightly sleeping with her eyes closed. Sleep is massively important. It's when growth hormones are released. It's when our body heals, reheals. It's when it recovers. It's when it rejuvenates. It's really important for our bodies to be able to rest properly. Having a proper sleep schedule is massively impactful. And the better you can be at making it strict, like every night is 10 o'clock bedtime or 9:30 or 9 o'clock bedtime, boom, 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 your circadian rhythms will adjust to that being your bedtime. If you're used to being a night owl like I was back in college, I'd stay up till like probably 5 o'clock in the morning studying, drinking 10 pots of coffee. Like, all right, I kind of did that to myself, kept myself awake for that long, and it took me time to reverse that. So just little tips here. Say in the ideal bedtime is like 9:30, 10 o'clock to be asleep by. Say you're going to bed at midnight. Tonight, after you're done listening to this, watching this, try to rewind the clock 30 minutes, right? So if you're going to bed at midnight, try to go to sleep at 11:30. Give yourself about 2 weeks of acclimation to be set at 11:30, and then go to 11 o'clock. 2 weeks, acclimate. 10:30, 2 weeks, acclimate. 10 o'clock, 2 weeks, acclimate. Do about a half hour chip at a time, because if you're like, hey, I go to bed at midnight and I'm going to go to bed at 9 tonight, you're just going to be rolling around in bed the whole time with anxiety, wondering what the heck is on TV, where's your phone at, all of that stuff, okay? Another thing that's really important too is when we're resting, when we're sleeping, we don't want to eat anything within about 2 to 3 hours prior to bedtime. If we are, our body will not be recovering during the night. It will be digesting the food that you consumed either for dinner or as a snack around dinner time, okay? You cut those things out and you will see a tremendous drop in body weight, a tremendous one. Stop eating at, say, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, whenever you have dinner. Some people have it at 5 o'clock, which is even better. And then don't snack at all prior to bedtime. Kind of like a little bit of a fast until you get up in the morning. And you can eat if you want to in the morning, or you can do an intermittent fast if you know how to do that properly. Yeah, we'll get into that later. But so you can do that where you basically just fast till bedtime. Do a bedtime fast. Eat dinner, don't eat anything, go to sleep. That by itself, you'll notice a big difference. For the men or women who are out there like, my husband snores, okay, have him do the same thing. Reduce the inflammatory food. Usually dairy will be a huge culprit for sinus congestion, mucus production. Cut that out. Stop eating prior to bedtime and see if that doesn't help the snoring. I've had wives jump on calls with their husbands and say, he's not snoring anymore. I'm sleeping so much better. And all we did was say, hey, stop freaking eating right before you go to bed, right? So sleep is massively important. Massively, massively, massively important. If you're waking up throughout the night, if you've got prostate issues, if you've got just like nocturia where you're just waking up for no reason, you're going and urinating, or you wake up every day or every night at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and you're keyed up, that could be an issue with detoxification pathways, which is a little bit deeper into this. But if you do that for a consistent period of time, it's just like a new mom waking up to breastfeed a baby. You're spiking the cortisol while you're awake because your eyes are open, and then you're coming back down, then up again, then back down. It's destroying your circadian rhythm, which is then going to make you gain weight. Again, this is men and women that are out there. If your wife snores or your wife twitches and kicks you in bed, which Megan used to do when we first started living together, that's fine. She doesn't do it anymore. She hit me in the face, I think, once, and I think that was like the last time. That was the last time she told me that she hit me in the face. But I sleep like a rock. So anyways, make sure you have a proper sleep cycle, okay? So what can you do? If you have a hard time falling asleep at night, like, I just don't know what to do. I tried melatonin. Melatonin didn't work for me. I've got this on my mind. I've got that on my mind. What do I do? I mean, you could do the obvious stuff. You can do like a CBD, right? Or CBD, you just kind of calm you down a little bit, knock you out. Some people use just full-on marijuana, which will knock them out. But be careful, because some of that stuff can keep you groggy in the morning, so it can be difficult for you to wake up. But the reason, okay, finding the cause, the reason why your cortisol is spiking before bed, there's always a reason. Is it, again, inflammatory diet? Are you eating too much prior to bed? Are you staring at your phone all night long and you're just letting the blue light hit you and stimulate that dopamine, which is like cocaine, a little bit of cocaine bumps here and there? Okay. Are you watching TV? Are you yelling with your spouse? Is your spouse abusive to you? You can take as much melatonin and pot and CBD that you want to. Man, I sound old saying pot. You can do all of that you want to, but if you don't eliminate the stressor that's making you have that increase in cortisol, you're going to continue to have the same problem. Okay? So know that going into this, that if you have a stress like that, you have to make sure that you talk about it. I'm not saying just get rid of your spouse. I'm saying have a conversation. Stop fighting. Start having a wind down routine. Don't have the lights blasting like full bore. Like we've got this whole bohemian style going on here. So like we can barely see where we're walking around in our living room. And then when we hit up into our bedroom, our light is like, it's like null and void. It's just like a nice, calm amber light that just gives us enough light to be able to go into bed. It's really easy that way. Other things that you can do besides, the melatonin and those types of things, you can take a supplement called phosphatidylserine. Phosphatidylserine helps to suppress cortisol production. Okay, so if you're stressed, you have cortisol, racing thoughts before bed, could be an issue with the cortisol. So take some PS150, or that's what we sell. Take some phosphatidylserine, and that should help you to buffer down some of that stress that you're feeling prior to bed. Other things you could do, breath work. Okay, proper breathing. You can do left nostril breathing, where you plug the right nostril, plug your mouth, and just breathe in and out through the left nostril. That can help to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, which can then help you to fall asleep. You can do things like California poppy. It's a liquid tincture that we sell that can help. It's a nerve tonic, so it calms like everything down prior to bed. All of these things can help you to have that restful night's sleep. Even magnesium can help you to have that restful night's sleep. All right, so the top 5 reasons, again, just in recap, and I'm hoping that I overwhelmed you in a way, but I wanted to give everyone here some useful tips as to what to do whenever it comes to losing weight, right? First, there's always a reason why you can't lose weight. Is it because you're under or overeating? Is it because you're over or underactive? Is it because your gut is abnormal? Is it because your hormones are off? Is it because you're not sleeping properly? If you go through this checkbox of 5 things, I can guarantee you have at least one of the 5 that are off that you haven't been able to fix quite yet. If you need to test certain things, you need to test your stool, you need to test your adrenals or your hormones. You're like, I don't know if any of those things are off. What do I do? Just reach out to us. We work with this all the time. But what I want you to know is we're not going to treat weight loss. We're going to treat the cause. So you should never be hyper-focused on a number or a measurement or how pants fit. It should just be like an accidental thing, a side effect that happens from taking care of yourself. Because when we do these lifestyle switches, they're not fad diets. You're switching from an inflammatory, disease-causing lifestyle to a healthy lifestyle. When you're doing these things, you want to make that change stick so that way the weight stays off. If you need help with that, do not hesitate to reach out. You have a million links down in the link in the show description. Click on one of them. Contact us if you need it to schedule a consult with me, just to shoot back and forth to see if what we can do can help you. I'm absolutely here for you for that. Because my goal is to make my patients the healthiest people in all of the world ever, but also to be able to help as many other people just learn the truth about health, learn the truth about weight loss and what it truly takes to get to that end goal. And if you want to join on with me, you're more than welcome to. I'm here to help you. I'm here to serve anybody who wants to be served. But it's up to you as to how healthy you want to be. You make the right choice. You make the right decision. I'm here to support. So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Doc Jacque Show. We'll talk next time.